I'm here with my longtime friend, Andre Nitizch. We go back more than 20 years, probably close to 30 years.
Yeah, I would say 30.
In the industry. And we're at the Energizing Summit in LA, and it's an event that Andre started. Tell me, Andre, how it all came about, the very first year.
Well, you know, when we had the International Hair Color Exchange,
A program I loved.
yeah, they kind of disregarded the certification process, and so a few of us struck out on our own to do the certification without some of the people that were opposed to it. And they were opposed to it primarily because they were afraid they might offend the manufacturers if they did something like this. Generic education is something that the manufacturers aren't necessarily in favor of. So a few of us struck out on our own, and as a result of that, we enjoyed getting together, you know, doing this. So then we started the Energizing Summit to kind of replicate what the International Hair Color Exchange was doing. And we started with a very small group of people, and each year it's grown. As a matter of fact, the first group was just the evaluators, and they were allowed to bring one guest. And then the next year they were allowed to bring two guests. And then we just opened it up, anybody that wanted to come. So this year we have about 650 people at the summit.
Congratulations. I think I was at the second one. You let me come in and speak. I spoke to all the educators. Is that possible? It goes back so far I can't even remember anymore.
It was at the other hotel that we're at,
Yeah.
and we were there for 3 years, so it had to be one of the first 3 years that you were there. Yeah.
And the industry itself. Now, you've been in the industry for how many years? Or do you want to even say?
I got my cosmetology license in 1957.
How the heck did you get into this industry?
Well, I was in the service, and when I was in the service, there was a guy that never stood watch. He always used to say, "Hey, here's some money, stand my watch for me." And he used to drive into the base with a big Cadillac. And we had occasion one time in roll call. I said, "What do you do anyway?" And he says, "I'm a hairdresser. I got a salon in El Segundo." I says, "Wow." So he started talking to me about it, got me all excited. How do I do this? And so he sent me to a community college where I went, and he said, "I'll give you a job when you get out," which he did, but he was a terrible boss, so I didn't stay there very long. And I had a tough time in school. You know, everybody in there were gals that had been accustomed to doing their own hair, and you know, I've never done hair before. While I was in the service, I started cutting hair, and I kind of liked it. And on the ship, the guys weren't too fussy about their haircuts because we'd be out to sea for 30 days. They'd say, if it doesn't work, it'll grow back, you know. So I got my feet wet in the service, and then when I found out that he was a hairdresser, and he actually said, you know, "You're a good-looking kid, you know, you'll get women coming to you regardless of whether you know what you're doing or not," and, which isn't true, but he convinced me that I should do it, and that's how I got involved.
I love it. Now, let's talk about education, not state by state, but the fact that there's no continuity when it comes to education in the United States. You need 1,400 hours in one state to get a license. You need 1,000 in another. You need 800 in one. Some places don't even require you to take a test. You just finish working and you get a license.
Oh boy, you get me started on the school business. I think the whole system is just so absurd and corrupt, I can't hardly stand it, because I don't care if you go to school for 3,000 hours. If nobody's teaching anything, what good is it? You know, you could learn. I can actually teach somebody how to do highlights, how to apply color, and be a good applier in 2 weeks. I mean, it's not brain surgery. So the application part of it is pretty simple to learn.
And this, I'm assuming, is why you're such an advocate of the apprentice program.
Apprenticeship program. I think the apprenticeship program is great. If we had the apprenticeship program, there wouldn't be this abundance of licensed people that can't find a job, and just dilutes the industry and diminishes our value. You know, we have an avocado business in California, and when avocados are abundant, They go all the way down to 50 cents a
50
piece. And when
cents a
they get
piece.
scarce, they go up to $2 a piece, and it's all a matter of supply and demand. And it's no different with hairdressers. I mean, if you've got 2.7 million hairdressers in the country, no matter how good you are, just the fact that there's that many of you will diminish the value.
If we had continuing education nationally, what should it be? Every time I go to a continuing ed class, they want to teach me how to sterilize my instruments or how to protect the client. There's never any information about doing color, about doing cutting. It's just all about the environment.
I was an advocate of the continuing education process. As a matter of fact, I became a provider for continuing education. My provider number is 720, if you still want to know. But it was a continuing education for beauty school instructors. They had to go and learn how to teach better, and the state passed that. During that continuing education, it could not be anything about technique or hairstyle or hair cutting. It was all about teaching techniques. And what I learned in doing that, and I hired the best instructors I could find because I was excited about it. I hired professors from the University of California that were professors of vocational education. I learned a lot by holding the classes, I will tell you that. But as far as the people that participated, they said, I'm here because I have to be here. I don't want to be here. I want to spend my weekends with my kids. My boss isn't going to give me a raise for going. When you mandate somebody get smarter, they're not going to get smarter.
They're not going to do it.
They want to get smarter. They will find the education to get smarter. You don't have to advocate it. You don't have to mandate it. It's just going to happen. If you want to get smarter, you will get smarter. You can't say, here's a law, you have to get smarter.
I want to change gears just for a second. Now, I don't want to say anything negative about any of the manufacturers.
Why not?
However, manufacturers are out to make money. That's what they're out to do. But there are so many stylists in a salon, so many colorists in a salon that are loyal to manufacturers. And just tell me what you think about loyalty to a manufacturer.
Wouldn't you like them to be loyal to you?
I would love them to be loyal to me, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being loyal to a brand as long as there's that separation that when you sell me color, you get it to me at the best possible price, you make it available, you don't run out, you have quality product, and that would be your role. But as far as anything else, I don't see anything wrong with a loyalty to a company, but they certainly would not run my life. They certainly would not be able to raise their prices on a regular basis. That would, to a point sometimes where they put you out of business.
Now, I'm asking you for what's the best piece of advice you could give me as a new colorist to help me grow and become the best I could possibly be.
I would suggest to you that you get a job in the best possible salon. Short of that, it is possible. I think it's possible to self-educate. I think with quality DVDs, and I use the word quality, DVDs that teach you, and using a mannequin and practicing on a mannequin, making swatches and observing the results, the combination of those three things, selecting a color line, a minimal color line, and understanding the parameters of that color, you could learn pretty much hair color on your own. Do your sister, do your mother, do your aunt, do your neighbor, and just learn it on people. That's what they do in beauty school. They learn on one another, and because really the manufacturers hair color education, they tell you all the nice things about it. It's like if you go out and buy a car, no one's going to tell you that the engine needs an overhaul. It's when you buy a car, you buy it at face value and you expect it to work. the people that are selling it to you make all kinds of promises, but you drive it off the lot and the tire goes flat, the engine breaks down, and all kinds of bad things happen with hair color that nobody explains about. They don't go into as much detail as they need to. And I think that we have the best curriculum there is for teaching hair color. I mean, there's a lot of quality hair colorists that are out teaching, but when somebody comes to me just now, somebody stopped me down in the lobby and said, I want to learn hair color, what do I do? And I said, you know, I wouldn't know where to send you. Frank Shortino just said, I want to take that examination. How do I do it? Can you find me somebody that's going to tutor me? Now, here's a guy that's a great hair colorist, and he's been in the business for years,
Yeah.
and he wants to take the exam. I mean, I really admire somebody like that, because I don't know, as long as I've been in the business, whether this examination was there in my time. I think when I was a younger hairdresser, I would have passed. But Frank is, you know, he's been in the business a lot of years. He wants to become board certified. So I put him in touch with one of our evaluators, and I said, this girl will teach you how to pass the exam. And, you know, it'll cost him a few bucks, but he can wear his certificate with pride.
Andre, thanks so much for the interview. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
That was great. That's exactly the kind of simple, honest information we need.